This has most certainly been a very interesting Halloween this year for 2020, and I kind of have to apologize for the setup here because the microphone is just kind of just in my face. It's held on by a zip tie to this thing. Anyway, I don't want to go into a long rant about that. Maybe that's just for another video. And my bed is a mess, so just ignore that. Anyway, it's definitely been a very interesting year in the sense that obviously kids weren't able to go trick or treating, and people had to stay home and social distancing and all that because of COVID-19. But I think that this has taught everybody a very important lesson. And when it came to Thanksgiving this year, back in October, I think that this has definitely taught us a very important lesson because health officials believe that cases surged in Ontario because of Thanksgiving gatherings and people gathering more than 10, more than 50, more than 100, maybe sometimes even larger gatherings for Thanksgiving. Recently, I think it was actually in the news where people gathered for a wedding and a lot of people were exposed there. So I think like something like 30 or 40 people were exposed and they tested positive for COVID-19, so on and so forth. Like when the rules relax and people relax, then we tend to kind of fall back on that and fall back on ourselves, and we take things for granted like we always do, when we shouldn't be doing that, because we are technically still in a pandemic. I mean, believe it or not, it is still 2020. It is still, things are still up in the air kind of thing. We don't really know what's going to happen with COVID-19. We don't really know what's happening with the vaccine. Even though, of course, the vaccine is being developed, we don't really know for sure when that will be. And obviously these things take a long time, and, it takes several months for these things to happen. The case in point, of course, is that this year for Halloween especially, it's been very different because, kids weren't allowed to go trick-or-treating. Kids couldn't go out, and kids couldn't, go do their own thing in their costumes, so they basically had to stay home this year. It was definitely very, very different for a lot of people. I think that going forward, Christmas gatherings will also have to pardon me, Christmas gatherings will also have to be in this manner where, people are only getting together with immediate family, we're only getting together with very, very close circles, because otherwise if they don't, then we're going to have yet another outbreak, because we are in the second wave, and if things don't improve, we're basically looking at a third wave and a third outbreak, and so on and so forth. So it's like, it's like one of those things that if we as individuals, we as members of, of our communities are not careful, obviously COVID-19 is a virus. A virus it does not discriminate. It doesn't care what you look like. It doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care what religion you belong to. It doesn't care about your gender, your race, your ethnicity, your sexual orientation, etc., so on and so forth. It doesn't care about these things. It infects everybody. It infects the rich, it infects the poor, it infects children, it infects adults, it even infects animals. COVID-19 even infects animals. So if we're not careful, then our loved ones are getting infected. But I think the important lesson to learn from this is that, again, I'm kind of just repeating myself here, but the important lesson to learn from this is that Christmas gatherings in themselves will also have to be like this, where people will have to be extra, extra careful. Otherwise, we're going to have a third wave and a fourth wave, and we'll never be able to get out of this. It's going to be a vicious cycle that will just keep going on and on and on. And it's going to be one of those things that, it'll be like a never-ending story. And 2020 has definitely been a very, very interesting year, where theme parks weren't allowed to open, at least not in Canada. Theme parks weren't allowed to open. A lot of places did open briefly, but then they had to close down, and so on and so forth, and now we are in the second wave and things are having to close down once again. So we have to do our part. Social distancing is very important. We have to do our part. Don't hang around people that you don't know that much, and if you have to hang around them, wear a mask, protect yourself, because by protecting yourself, you're protecting everybody else as well. So do your part. We're all in this together. Better days are coming. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.